Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it's the end of the day on a Sunday. You probably had a full weekend. So if you're here, you are probably here because you meant to be, and you came because you're interested in understanding more about your relationship with food, or maybe learning a little bit more about the CEDRIC Center. So you're going to get both of those things out of our talk today. And I'll stick around for a few minutes after our conversation, answer some questions for you, and then we have a booth just outside on this level if you want to come and chat with me after. So my name is Morand, and I'm the founder and director of this place we call the CEDRIC Center, which is a counseling center that specializes in helping people who have a stressful relationship with food. By that we mean people who eat more than they're hungry for, can't stop eating once they start, feel compelled to restrict food, maybe even full-blown eating disorders like anorexia or bulimia or orthorexia or binge eating disorder, people who are just frustrated with their body image and weight. So my own experience is that of a binge eater, an exercise bulimic is what they call me now as the terminology develops. My own recovery experience in my 20s led me to want to do this work to help others because it was so difficult to find help and so difficult to find someone who actually knew that it really wasn't about the food, at least not exclusively. So what we're going to do today, I'm just going to scooch ahead here. I just want to go over some basic statistics. You might already know these. Even if you do, it's helpful to be reminded. I like to do this because it puts us all on the same page. It helps us to understand what an epidemic we're dealing with, and my intention also is that if you do struggle with these issues yourself, you're going to start to appreciate that you are far from alone, and start to understand more about why it's such an issue. So just some basic statistics to start. 80% of 10-year-old girls have tried dieting at least once. That's an old stat. I think it's higher now. I love this one. Think about this one. On any given day in North America, 25% of women are just starting a diet, 25% are on one, and 25% are just coming off. 75% on any given day are somewhere in the dieting cycle. As we move on in our talk later today, you're going to understand why that's so devastating. But 75% of women seem to feel like there's something that they need to change about their body or their relationship with food, and they're trying to do that through dieting. 1 in 3 women have been on more than 10 diets in their lives. Now, if this was something else, let's say, I don't know, what could we say as an analogy? Let's say, I don't know, Volvos. I happen to drive a Volvo, I like Volvos. But let's say Volvos. So somebody really thinks Volvos are the way to go and the car to have, and we get one and it's not quite right, and so we try a different model. 10 models down the road, if we're not liking it, you'd think we'd realize Volvos aren't for us. But we don't do that with dieting for some reason, because for some reason, well, we'll find out, we've been trained to believe that diets really are the answer to our problems. And yet, the average woman can only stick to a diet, sorry guys, these stats are more geared towards women, that's just the way of things these days, 2 weeks. The average woman can stick to a diet no longer than 2 weeks. And there's a good reason for that, which we'll talk about in a moment too, but that's significant because many of you have probably tried some diet programs and have not been successful in sticking to them for any length of time, and there's a good reason for that, and you're not alone. Only 9% of women never diet, and over 90% of all disordered eating is triggered by dieting. Also, dieting for weight loss is often associated with weight gain, ironically, because we trigger a cycle of binge eating when we next get around food after restricting. Another statistic, adolescent girls who diet are 324% greater risk for obesity, which is because of what we were saying earlier about the increased incidence of binge eating. And then we also get tuned out to the natural rhythms of hunger and fullness in our body, and it's hard to feel, it's hard to get back into the rhythm of eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full after dieting. Here's just another little statistic for you, and then we'll move on. A review of 10 of the nation's most popular weight loss programs, and now nation, I believe this is Canadian, a Canadian reference, showed that none of them actually had any proof that they worked in any lasting way, except for Weight Watchers. And what Weight Watchers has to show is one study conducted in 2004 that showed that participants lost about 10 pounds and kept off half of that, so 5 pounds, for up to 2 years. Not significant, not huge. when you think about the billions of dollars that are spent in this particular approach. So hopefully you're with me that maybe there's something else going on or something else that we need to be looking at. Focusing on food exclusively is obviously not the solution for many people. What I'm here to talk with you about today is that in my belief and in my philosophy and what we do with great success at the CEDRIC Center is we help people to understand that food does have an impact. The kinds of food you eat, of course, will either be more or less life-enhancing for you, but there's also a very important factor, which is why you're choosing the foods that you're choosing, both from a physical perspective and a psychological perspective.